Hi everyone. This is Russell Folas for this new live on this beginning of the month of December. I have a couple of points that I want to share with you guys, mostly regarding the PPP and specifically the PPP forgiveness. Okay, so I've been very late on this, so we can wait for maybe 2 or 3 more people to join the live before we start. Okay, so yeah, we're going to be discussing a couple of points, the state of the forgiveness with the PPP. Of course, not the ELDL. You know, the ELDL is a loan. The ELDL is a loan. You just have to pay back. But the PPP is a loan, but you also can make it a grant. That is the best thing on the PPP. Okay, the best thing on the PPP is that you can actually make it a grant, and a lot of people have been missing to make it a grant, and that is what hurts me. Okay, that's the reason why I actually have to go on live specifically now on this. Yeah. So what are we going to discuss about? We're going to discuss about the state of the PPP itself, because what some of you might not know is that there might be another round of PPP. That means even though you missed it, you missed the first time, you missed the second time, you can still catch up, because there's a big likelihood that a new round will come up. Okay, so we're going to discuss about today. We are also going to discuss about how do you actually make that PPP a grant. Okay, that's very important. And what are the consequences of not making it a grant by the end of this month? I decided at the beginning by the month of, I think it was July, August, that I'm not going to be talking about no more, because my point was to help a lot of business owners to get this money, which to me is a grant. To me, it's like, I don't know why I would not take it. If somebody is giving me money and that I can actually make that money a grant, I don't know why I will even hesitate it to take it. So my point, my team and I, it was to help a lot of business owners to actually make this money, actually receive the money first, because the first thing was to receive the money. Once you receive the money, now what do? It's simple. You just found out how to make that money a grant. Okay, so that's the reason why I was telling any business owner out there to think about receiving the PPP first. And that's the reason why I created a group, a private group specifically for my customer, but I even opened that group to any business owner out there in order to help them. The group was to actually gather all the information about what to do if you are stuck on the process, what to do instead of doing one-on-one, because it's a free service that I've been offering. Instead of me helping you one-on-one each time, I create the group that when I see that so many questions are coming, I can actually, go on live or post a video to explain what to do in case you are in that situation. Right, that's the reason why we create a group. If you are actually in the group, that's the reason why we create that group. We created that group to help a lot of business owners out there to actually who are seeking the way of receiving money, whether it's a PPP or ELDL, because beside the PPP, we also have what is called ELDL, right? The ELDL basically, help you to receive, I don't know, any amount of money that you have to pay after a certain amount of time. So yes, so today what are we going to do? We're going to talk about that PPP. So first thing first is that the PPP was a program, because up to now some people even didn't receive the PPP and some people received them. I want to let you know again what was the concept, what was the idea behind the PPP. The PPP was a loan that was given to people. It was actually a financial support from the CARE Act Care Act that was adopted on March 27, that was supposed to help small business owners to support all the expenses that they were otherwise not be able to support, because with COVID-19 everything was shut down. You cannot pay your employee. You have to actually lay off your employees. You cannot pay for your rent. You cannot pay for utility, or maybe you are just out. So that was the reason why the government thought that it was important to to put money into the system to help those people, to prevent them from firing their employees. So they gave you the money, and they told you that use this money this way, and it will be kept as a grant. So that was the reason why they gave money to people. And now, after receiving the money, what do you do? Because I just told you about the EABL, the PPP. Now, once you receive the money, what do you do actually? What you have to do, there are at least 3 steps that you have to take in order to make your PPP forgivable. Before you actually request for the forgiveness, there are some steps that you have to take. And if you follow me on Facebook or YouTube, you will see that I went on live to actually talk about those steps. The first step is you have to actually establish that there is a need for the PPP. Okay, you have to have a proof of the expense. You have to have the proof of the expense that you have to use the PPP for, and you have to have the proof of the exit of the money from your bank account. That means if you receive the money and you don't use the money, then it's not going to be forgivable. It's like you receive $20,000 or $40,000, you just put in your bank account and then you just keep it there. If there's not evidence that you actually use the money, the money actually exited the bank account that the money was deposited into, then it's not going to be forgivable. That's the first thing. You first thing have to have the proof of the liability. What's the proof of the liability? The proof of the liability, for example, if you say that I've used the PPP for, I don't know, for rent, you have to have something that make you liable to pay that rent. For example, there is the agreement, the lease agreement, right? If it's a mortgage, you should have, a date, any type of paper that shows that you're supposed to pay that money to your bank for mortgage. So there's a lot of stuff. It depends. If it's a phone bill, you should actually be able to have a contract with the phone bill or the phone company, or maybe just a bill, because the bill can establish that you have a contract with the company to receive the service and pay. So basically those are the main thing that you have to prove the existence of the liability. That's the first thing. Okay, so if you don't have it, go back and try to make it up perfect. Try to have it on the paper. The second thing is that the money will have to exit your bank. If you have the money, you will see the PPP and you never use it, because maybe you already have money in your bank account. You use the PPP, you didn't actually use it, you may not be able to make it forgivable. Now, once you have all of those information, of course, you need to keep track of your expenses. How do you keep track of your expenses? If you're a company, you should hire a company, an accountant, a CPA only for that. Or you yourself, you have to track, because the PPP was given to you, but also in exchange, you have to show them that you have actually used the money, the way it's intended to. If you use the money to purchase for a phone bill, for electricity, you use the money for this or for that, you have to have a proof of it. Okay, now once you have all of those, what happens now? What happens is that you have to engage into the forgiveness process itself. And the forgiveness process was so complicated that a lot of organizations out there, the AICPA, a bunch of other not-for-profit came up to say, hey, this PPP forgiveness process is not fair, because they say that if you actually do what they ask you to do, you may not be able to even have the 100% forgivable. Okay, so that's the reason why they actually came up there and they amended those forgiveness process to make it, you know, more legit, not more legit, but more to allow more business owner to see the 100% of the money forgivable or forgiven. So what happened now is that in order for you to actually engage in the forgiveness process, remember that the PPP is given to you through a financial institution. It's not given to you from the SBA or from the government directly. The government actually approves some banks and financial institutions to give you that money, and the forgiveness process will also go the same way. That means you will have to go through the same bank to apply for forgiveness, even though the SBA or the government have the final authority to actually forgive that money, but you still have to go through them. Okay, this is what happened now, is that how do you do to actually get those money forgivable? You have to go there and prove them that any cent, any penny of that money was used as intended. So how do you do that? The first thing, you have to have an accountant who has recorded every single PPP money separately. That's the first thing. If you haven't done that, then I don't want to say you're in trouble, but it will be very difficult for you to actually have the 100% forgivable. Because if you have an accountant, he will record every day that you use the money for an expense for what was called eligible or allocatable or eligible expense, because he has a record. You can actually even pull up a financial report like a profit and loss for those information, right? But if you don't have those, if you don't keep track of those expenses since you receive the money, guess what? You have to do something. You have to meet up with an accountant to do what is called clean up. Okay, to do what is called a clean up of all your expenses, or catch up. It depends on whoever you talk to. You can say clean up or you can say catch up, to actually help you to record all those transactions and pull up something like a financial report that can actually show all the expenses with the date and how the money was used, and make sure that it reaches the amount of money that you receive. And it became more complicated when some people at the beginning, they have employees, and then they actually at one point they fire those employees because of COVID-19, and sometimes they have to hire them back. So it became more complicated than that. That's the reason why, if you receive the money, because they start to call what is called a full-time estimate or full-time equivalence, to know exactly how many employees you have remain at the end of your period, which is 8 or 24 months period. It becomes more complicated than it was supposed to be. Okay, that's the reason why you guys have to consult with your accountant or your CPA to be able to get those straight, because your CPA will be able to help you to figure out what is called full-time equivalence, to figure out what formula to adopt for you. But in order to help a lot of business owners, I went on live and I show you how to do it, how to go on this, how to actually do it. And we created a spreadsheet or a document or an app that can actually help you to figure out, especially for self-employed, to figure out how much of the money that I receive will be forgivable. What does that mean? It means that it will actually tell you what to do. It will just ask you question, right? It just asks you question. We did that before, because during the year, since the month of August, when we stopped the PPP application, we were already working on helping the people who received the money back in May, right? We're already helping them to make the money forgivable. Make the money forgivable suppose that you have to be sure that all the money that you receive will be forgivable. Why? Because if you go into your bank just with a bunch of paper, chances are that they're not going to be working on you to figure out when did you use this, when did you use that, how much money did you spend on this. No. If you have a report, you're supposed to go there with a report that shows every single expense, how much was spent and when, and how much was spent on the total. You're supposed to show them those documents. So if you don't have an accountant who was doing that for you, it will be very difficult for you. And whenever you don't come up with, your bank will not actually assume that it's forgivable. In fact, the bank will assume that it's not forgivable. If you don't prove me that you spend all the money on what you were supposed to spend on, especially in terms of percentage, right? If you don't show me that you spend 40% of the money on payroll and 60% on other expense, non-payroll expense, I mean, I can just assume that the 60% are not forgivable, because it will be maybe easier for you to show me that you spend 40% on payroll because you pay yourself. And I told you that to pay yourself. Any person that I help them, I ask you to pay yourself. Okay? So it's easy to show that you pay yourself because it's you. Now, if you cannot show how much you spend the 60%, guess what? Not 100% of the 60% will be forgivable. You have to be guaranteed on that. Okay? So now the document that we came up with, because we were not able to actually track and help every single business owner, then we thought that it will be useful to come up with that document that will actually help them to do it themselves, do it by themselves. It means you actually have, once you have the copy, you can just, it will ask you a question: when did you receive the money? You put it. How much was the money? You put it. As soon as you put it, how many employees do you have? The system will actually generate how much income you should be paid. You should have been paid yourself. It will tell you, for example, if you are a business owner and you also have some expense that are also business and personal expense. Example, some people are running business online. If you're running business online, it means your house is a part of your business. But how do you know that what percentage of your house will be forgivable? Okay? How do you know? How do you know that the percentage of your business, the percentage of usage of your house will be forgivable? How do you know that? Okay, even if you know that 60% or 20%, because you know how much percentage of your house you use for business. Because if you do Amazon, for example, I have people do Amazon. That means you are receiving a lot of inventory in your house. You are actually packaging, putting, label and stuff. You're actually doing your reports from your house. So what is the percentage of it? So this application will actually just need to say, okay, I'm using one third of my house for business. That's it. The system will automatically generate what percentage of that money is going to be allocated to the PPP expense. You don't have to think about calculating yourself. Just say, I pay rent this amount, I pay electricity on your house this amount, I spend a phone bill this amount, I pay house insurance, I pay my car insurance this amount. As soon as you know the coefficient, you know the rate, how much of your car is used for your business. If your car is used 100%, then the system will actually consider 100% of your business as being a PPP eligible expense. If your house is actually only 1/3 or 20% of your house is used for business, then the system will just ask you to tell him how much you pay for rent. The system will ask you to tell him how much you pay for electricity, and it will actually generate the percentage of that electricity that's supposed to be attributed to the PPP. Okay, so that's what we came up with, and it has been available. A lot of people have been using them, but a lot of people also have not been using them, and they keep calling because they need help. And I'm telling them the first thing to do is to know to make it. Once you plug all the numbers and you're not able to make those all your PPP money forgivable, then the system will also tell you like what to do. For the simple thing is that if you go into the 8-week period, because if you are following the news, you know that they have the 8-week period, and they also have the 24-week period. When you fill out the application, not the application, the app or the document that we came up with, it will tell you exactly how much will be forgivable, right? If you figure out that, oh, not all the 60%, not all the 100% of the money is forgivable, then what you have to do is to move. The system will ask you to move to the 24 period. That means you have more time to allocate expenses. That means you will get the 100% forgivable. Once you get those, everything becomes easier because you have the balance of all the expenses with you. So we came up with that to help small business owner not having to pay a CPA. We came up with that to help small businesses not having to pay CPA to figure out the amount of the forgiveness. That's the first thing. Because if you don't know how much is going to be forgivable, and you think that your bank will tell you, chances are that the bank is not working for you. Okay? But your CPA can work for you. The application can work for you. So that's the reason why I'm saying that the first thing to actually going through the forgiveness process, that means to plug all the information, because the information you are plugging, though you have to have a backup, you have to have a supporting document to actually support those information that you are putting in your application. So your CPA or myself, we can just help you to actually do the compliance. That means to actually fill up the paperwork for you. But the harder part is not that. It's to figure out the amount of the forgiveness. And that's the reason why we came up with this document, this product, to help you guys to do it. So if you have not been doing it yet, I'm going to post the link on the description of this video. It doesn't matter. I don't know if you are watching this on live, on Facebook or YouTube. I'm going to put the link for the link to get that application that we came up with. And you also have a full case study when we are actually going through that app and show how to use it. Okay, so basically, and if you still have a question, of course, within the app there's a link to actually even book an appointment with our team to actually explain you what you don't understand. Okay, so if you have done all of that and you know exactly what is going to be forgivable, and you have an accountant, because you can print out, because this document that I'm giving you at the end, you can actually print them out to see exactly how much of this money was allocated to what extent, and how much was forgivable. If you have all of those, then you print them out, then you book an appointment with your CPA. That way the CPA will not have to charge you, I don't know, 500 or 1,000 depending on the situation. He will just charge you for compliance. Okay, if it's me, it will be so easy, because I will not have to spend time to figure out how much will be forgivable. The hardest part is how much will be forgivable, because you have to show all the details. The supporting document just come after. Okay, the supporting document are supposed to help you with all the numbers that you put in the application. So that's the reason why I say that you have to do that now, because guess what, if you don't do it at the end of the year, those money are supposed to be debt, because they're not going to be income to you. Once income, non-taxable income, I have to say it, that there won't be non-taxable income, but there will be a debt to you. Okay, you will have to pay that money back. That's the reason why I'm saying everybody has to work on it right now to make the money that you receive a free money, basically. Okay, or if you don't mind, just pay him back. I mean, that's good. Then you just do nothing and start. I'm pretty sure you have been receiving, you have been receiving a lot of emails. Okay, everybody is receiving a lot of emails about the financial institution who granted the loan, to tell them to actually do the forgiveness if they have not done so. So if you just go there with your bank to say, oh yes, I want to use the forgiveness, guess what, you'll be surprised, because you don't even know how much you'll be forgivable. Before you know, you're supposed to, before you go to the forgiveness process, you have to know by yourself. That's the reason why I put this product out there. You have to know by yourself how much will be forgivable. You don't have somebody, you don't have to pay someone to do it for you. Because if you are paying me to do it, first thing to do is what? I'm going to do your catch up, okay? The cleanup. The cleanup from what? From whenever you receive the money to the time, during the period, the forgiveness period, during the 28 week or 24 weeks. I have to use that time and charge you for backup. And that backup is what I want you to do by yourself. Of course, I will charge you whether 500 or 800 or 1,000, depending on how much money you have spent during that, how many expenses you have. Yes, of course, you will be charged at least 5 to 1,000 to do that backup right now. Okay, so this application, we're giving it to you for free, basically with $50. Okay, $50. Everybody can actually sit on his I don't know, on your house or in your office and just get a copy and just fill them out, and at the end you know exactly what before you. Once you do that, then you book an appointment with me to say, hey, I have done my homework, now how can we get this money free? And you have to do that before the end of this month. That's what I want to emphasize. You have to, before the end of the month, okay? And if you have done it, that's good. So yeah, basically this is what I wanted to share with you about the PPP forgiveness process. If you are within the group, okay, if you are new over here, the first thing to do is to join the private group that I created to help people, you know, together, right? To share all the information together. I know you are a lot of you guys watching me from the group, but if you are within the group right now, what you have to do, of course, you will see the link in the group to click and get a copy of this forgiveness. I call it PPP expense tracker. That's what you have to take. And now you have to book an appointment with me or one of my team once you have finished with the first document. Because if you book an appointment to go through that to you, the first thing to do is to calculate the same thing that I want you to do by yourself. We will actually go through the whole process. So of course, if you are charging per hour only, and then 1 hour is $150. If you are spending 3 hours only to figure out how much will be forgivable, then that is $450 that you will pay first. Not only me, any CPA. We charge $150, somebody else will charge $200, some colleague will charge $250 per hour to figure out how much of the money that you have will be forgivable. Okay, so that's why I'm saying that this is my way to help small business owner out there, because big company has the means to hire big accounting firms and pay them thousands of dollars to do it for them. If you have the means for that, that's good. That means you don't even have to watch this video, okay? But if you feel like you don't even have an accountant in your team, then you have to do exactly what I asked you. Even though you have an accountant, your accountant will actually do the same thing that I'm telling you. Go through the whole process with you and figure out how much money you spend. Now, if the accountant doesn't even have the formulas to know what will be forgivable, then you screw also. You'll be screwed at that point. Whereas the document I'm sharing with you actually calculate the amount of forgiveness for you. Okay, your account, once you have that, your accountant will actually just go through a simple, smooth process that will actually help you, you know, to be compliant and just sit there, you know, have a peace of mind that nobody will come after you. So, okay, so that's the reason why I'm saying that every person who receives a PPP, that's the last chance you have to actually make that money a grant to you. That's the last chance that you have. Okay, so I'm going to jump up and leave that topic. The next topic is that, hey, if you are new to what I'm saying right here, because you don't even know what the PPP is, you are not even aware of it, that it even exists, you just heard about that now, guess what? There is a possibility that there will be a new round of PPP, because remember, this PPP started on April. People started receiving this money back on April, and then it stopped because after two weeks the money went out. So I think on June it came up back, so they put more money on it. So on July they stop it. On August, they stop it. Now lawmakers are actually working on how to put another round of PPP amount out there. Actually, on Tuesday, that means on Tuesday this week, on Tuesday, lawmakers were actually discussing about another $908 billion of COVID-19 stimulus package. That's a new package that is actually coming out there. Okay, within that package, there's another $288 billion that is actually allocated to small businesses. That means those, I'm talking about the PPP program again. Okay, so if you have not even received this program and you are a business owner or self-employed or contractor, it doesn't matter. If you are not just a regular independent taxpayer, you have an organization, even a non-for-profit. If you have an organization or you are a contractor or self-employer, then you qualify. The only thing for you not to qualify is you are not in business. Okay, by February 15. Okay, so basically what I'm telling you guys now is that you have to start working. If you have not received that money, I'm not talking about the EIDL. You didn't receive the money and you are watching me like, what is he talking about? You know you're a business owner, you're an Uber driver, you are salon owner, and you didn't receive the money. What you have to do is to go back, hire an accountant to actually straight your financial, to get a backup of all your financial, because last year, when this program started, they were using last year document, but this year, because we're at the end of the year, basically, they're going to be using this year financial information. Okay, you have to pay attention to it. You have to, if you don't want to hire an accountant, you have to figure out how you can actually purchase, a tracking expense tracker software that will actually help you to track any single expenses. Okay, any single expense that you have been making from January to now, because in order to see if you're eligible, they will have to compare the income you were making before COVID and the income you are making since the COVID hit. That's how they figure out that you are being impacted. Okay, they're not going to just assume, because at the beginning they were assuming that about your past transaction. Now they know that if you're say a business owner, you are being business, then from January to March, that set of information will be totally different from March to July. And that's what happened with a lot of business owners who actually saw that there's a grant for the state, and they contacted me about how to make it happen. And when I asked to come up with those financial, they didn't have it. So for other people, I have to recreate those financial for them. I have to do the backup, and it costs a lot of money. It costs about $1,000 or $2,000 to create financial, to create backup from January to August or to October. It will actually cost a lot of money. So that's the reason why I'm saying you have to, if you didn't receive the PPP, or even though there's no PPP, a lot of states are actually giving grants. And I will go on another live to actually help you with at least 5 states that are giving grants. I'm saying grants from sometimes 1,000 to 30,000 grants. And the main condition is to prove that there's an incidence, there's a gap between January and August or January to now expenses. That's what they want to do. Okay, so yes, I'm done with this today. I don't know if you guys have questions. If you have questions, I can answer them before I end the live. Let me see if there's a question. If you don't have a question, I'm going to stop it. So yes, basically what you guys have to do, the first thing you have to do is to be sure that you are on track with your PPP expense. If you receive the PPP money. If you didn't and you don't know what to do, what you have to do is to consult with me in case you don't even know where to start from. Okay, so yeah, basically that is what I wanted to share with you. And of course, first thing is to join the group. I'm going to put the link here. If you watch it from any other source and you want to join the group to see all the information I've been sharing about, I went out to at least 10 or 20 videos about the PPP and telling you what to do. Okay, so if you are new to the channel, just like or subscribe you know, to get all the latest information. And yes, and once you're done, you'll be good. Once you are in the group, then you can have all the information you need and also ask any question that you may have. If you want a private consultation too, because you know your situation you think is so terrible that you really need a close attention, yes, there's a link where you can actually book an appointment with our company. And with the Black Friday saving, we have given 50% of all our consulting. And I think if you can watch our Facebook page and business page, you will see that there is a flyer for PPP, I mean for 50% discount, whether it's for consulting or for bookkeeping. If you want to do your bookkeeping, which we charge normally $50, $500, that's the starting point, because you have to do the setup of your company. Now we're giving it at $250. Okay, now it's $250 for a bookkeeping with payroll and what? And CFO services. That means will help you to reach your goal. If you are actually just on the backup, you just want to do the backup from January to now, because the bookkeeping is actually going from now, I don't know, it's only 1 month. So everybody needs backup now. You need the backups if you want to save in taxes. You don't save in taxes by hiding some of your income. You save in taxes by reporting all the income that a lot of business owners actually forget. Okay, that's how you save in taxes. And you save in taxes by actually implementing some strategy that you can actually still implement now before December 15. So yes, I'm letting you guys know that if you have not done nothing at all, okay, and you receive the money or didn't even receive the money, but you want to save in taxes, now there's an opportunity. If you book even your consulting for 2021, you book it now, you have 50% off. It goes up to December 31st. So all our cost is 50% off, 50% off. Or if you actually also need, you know, some type of guidance or how to save in taxes, yes, we have a lot of training that we send out there to actually help business owner to figure out how to implement some tax strategy that will help them save in taxes. Yes, and we have a lot of webinars that we have been running, and those webinars are paid webinars. And we also have 72% on the cost of those webinars that we are actually sharing to allow you to know, for example, what is the better compensation of your taxes. Okay, for example, how can hiring your son or your family member can help you, or for example, how is the entity structure can help you save in taxes. Is it good for you to be taxed as an LLC or as a C Corp? Even though they think C Corp is a bad way, you will see among those programs that, hey, sometimes the C Corp is the best way, depending on the objective that you need to reach. Okay, so there are a lot of them, a lot of like tax planning for business or individual. We have those webinars where we can actually share and let you know, how to do it to save in taxes. Okay, if I don't see no more question here, I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to hope you guys a really wonderful rest of the day. Okay, ciao.